We're back and couldn't be happier to be right here, right now. It's Come On You Reds, your definitive Toronto FC podcast, kicking off for the 2022 calendar year. Gareth Wheeler alongside, well, the legend that is, TFC legend, Toronto FC legend, coaching legend, broadcasting legend. He is your friend and mine, Terry Dunfield. What's going on, Terry?
Just on this incredible high from the week we've had from the Canadian soccer team. I'm just like hanging on to Tiba Hutchinson's coattails right now. I just waking up with like so much energy and a smile, and big stuff's happening at TFC, and just the momentum from Canada soccer, being back at the training ground, just feeling $1 million, man.
The air's that much cleaner. The sun's that much brighter. You got a pep in your step. Life is good.
Very good. And then like I should go to the casino or something. And it's all aces. Was at the Raps last night. Trent from deep to win in overtime. It's just it's good times. Touch wood.
If you want someone to go to the casino with, my hand is up right now. No problem. Name the time, name the date. Plenty, and I mean plenty, to get into. Over the course of this podcast, it is virtually impossible to touch on everything that has gone on in Toronto FC land, that is going on in Toronto FC land. We're going to try to skew away for now some of the rumors, and there's plenty of them circulating in and about the team. Let's deal with what has happened, because since we last potted out back in November, plenty has happened. We've come in and out of a lockdown. I think that it's been like -10 for like 23 days straight. I don't know what's new with me. For you, you're married, you're expecting a kid. It's just wild how much has actually happened over the course of such a short period of time.
It's been an incredible ride. Let's go. Let's get after it.
Absolutely. And I should say, from a Toronto FC perspective, half of the squad has changed and turned over, and that was inevitable. We led you to that at the end of the season, and changes aplenty have been made, including a new gaffer. Bob Bradley has taken over. TFC have finished their first part of their training camp on the California swing. They'll be heading down to Austin as the team continues to be pieced together, and Bob Bradley's methodologies are just being put into place. Before I get some of your reactions to what has transpired, Terry, I wanted to kind of run down the list of players who have left the club, as well as players who have come in and other players who are at TFC training camp. So out have gone, this is a long list, by the way: Silva, Gonzalez, MLS Cup winner Eric Zavaleta, Justin Morrow's retired. Congratulations on his new gig in the TFC front office. Richie Larea is being sold off. Great move for him, going to Nottingham Forest to the league championship. Liam Fraser's moved on to Belgium. Marky Delgado's been traded to the Los Angeles Galaxy. Nick De Leon. Jefferson Soteldo has gone to Tigres. Gallardo. Endo's now going to be playing his club football in Australia. Dom Dwyer, Mullins, Rocco Romeo, and I apologize if I'm missing anyone else. In have come Ranjit Singh, Gavrin, two goalkeepers to add to that stable. Salcedo, more on him in a moment. O'Neill, McNaughton, Luca Petrasso from the academy. DeAndre Kerr is back from the academy to Syracuse, back to the first team. Volks is the draftee. And of course, Lorenzo Insigne. I mean, the big deal, the big talking point here was Sebastian Giovinco back at Toronto FC training camp. He's training with the team at present time, and a former CPLer and Canadian Premier League champion, Caden Chung, also on trial with Toronto FC. I think that just about covers it for now. That's where we stand at present time.
How did you do that under 60 seconds?
It just seemed like it went on, and kind of like my rambling from time to time. Look, these are sweeping changes. We've heard from Bill Manning over the course of the winter months. A change was required, freshening up was necessary, and the club is in the midst of following through on this kind of reshaping of what Toronto FC is going to look like now and moving forward.
Exactly. And probably the biggest one since November too. And I'm not sure if you brought it up is Bob Bradley's in. We have a new manager, arguably the best coach from North America. And I'll let you know how good I think he is. Just before the pandemic, maybe once a year, I try to go around the world to watch clubs operate. And I've been lucky to go to River Plate or back to Man City and I watched LAFC play, and I was sparked. I was intrigued by their brand of football. And I went and spent a week at LAFC just to learn from Bob Bradley and his methodology and what they're doing in academy. And it's pretty cool to see him walk into the building 4 years later.
Yeah. Well, of course, the Bradley name has become synonymous within Toronto FC. Now, this seems like a sure bet in terms of the next man to take over Toronto FC. Like, his resume speaks volumes. Former national team manager. He's managed in Europe, including Swansea City in the Premier League, took over the expansion side, LAFC, immediately made them a contender, Terry. He has a clear vision of how he wants this team to play. Being inside the building within the academy, you kind of have a sense of the direction that he wants to take this team.
A little bit. In a few words, it's a little bit more vertical. It's quicker. It's more aggressive. And he's really pushing the limits of players. He takes a lot of complexity out of the game. And I think from what I've seen on tape, I didn't get to go out to California, but a lot of the guys are flourishing. And there's a real feel of togetherness as well, that the culture feels right. And he's a proper coach. I watched a ton of clips on Salcedo, and I came into Bob's office and I was like, wow, this guy's Van Dijk. He's incredible. And we'll get into him in a moment. But when Bob's like, yeah, but we're looking to do this and we need this. And I was like, wow, this guy's a coach. And, we've had some great coaches here at TFC, but we have one of the best.
Yeah, and essentially he's going to play a big role in shaping this team, along with Bill Manning and the scouting staff, some really smart people behind the scenes. It came together. And when you have an expansion team, you have time to prepare and plan and figure out what you want the team to look like. And it really comes from a blank slate. This may take some time. And this was kind of the warning that I issued last fall, Terry, is that they're going to go after some big dogs. There's a greater plan at play, but this will take some time to bring in the players that you need, balance out, and find some salary cap flexibility and really build a team to Bob Bradley's liking. By all accounts and all reports, it's been a really positive start to training camp. Unlike last year where there was COVID and all kinds of disruptions, it just sounds like things are going too well. But I think that a little bit of patience is going to have to be preached here in order to see out this process.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think that there's this feel-good feeling around the club, and Bill Manning's a big part of it. He's gone big, and Insigne's to come in, Salcedo and Shane O'Neill, and there's been this huge lift, and guys are hungry to go and get after it. And I think kids are going to be given opportunity as well. Bob Bradley is going to lean on the academy. I think him and Michael Bradley, I'd imagine, have tons of conversations about TFC and what life's like here. So I'd imagine Bradley probably has a good understanding of the landscape here. But until you actually get your hands on it and he gets his hands on the team in California, I think then you can start to go, okay, I know what I've got now, and I can start to shape it, and maybe we've got a hole here, and maybe we can try him in this position. And I think that's where we're at right now, where there's so much excitement, and I expect BMO to be packed, but also it is going to take some time.
A new voice also brings new accountability and new opportunity for the players involved. We're all going to have to be patient because this just wasn't a Toronto story. The signing of Lorenzo Insigne made headlines globally as the 30-year-old European champion out of Italy, out of Napoli. is making the move to Major League Soccer, and he is the biggest acquisition, arguably, outside of David Beckham. What he meant for Major League Soccer was something different at a critical time in the league's growth. But in terms of talent, ability, a marquee player joining Major League Soccer in his prime, Lorenzo Insigne is it. You've had a couple of weeks to digest the fact that this player signed a 4-year contract, will be joining up with Toronto FC after his European season is done. Are you still buzzing? How are you feeling right now, a few weeks after that massive signing was announced?
Yeah, when I read it on my phone and that it might be happening, you're like, holy! And then you send a couple texts and like, is this true? And maybe a week later, it happened pretty quick, and there was rumors Insigne's agent was in town, and it was incredible. And I think Bill Manning probably had 3 options. I think option 1 is carry on and have 3 solid DPs, and that was our model, and try to bring pieces in around them. Option 2 would be it's a full rebuild this year, and let's clear out some squad. Let's see what Bob Bradley can do. Let's really give some of our younger players with so much potential some opportunity. Or option 3, go big. And as Bill Manning said, he went on to transfermarket.com, went straight to the top. You remember Insigne's goal against Belgium, and all of a sudden, I'd imagine Bill starts pulling at that thread, and there's a lot of layers to it as well. It's doable. It can happen. Insigne could come to Toronto FC, and you see Toronto FC plastered all over the BBC, all over the world, and he's coming to town. And then you start to look at some of his clips and watch him a little bit closer, and you're like, oh, he's a perfect fit for the way Bob Bradley wants to play. 2026 is around the corner. You've got the power of MLSE. And you know what? There were some tough days at BMO Field last year. Let's get after it. And once you bring in a player like that, everyone wants to be part of this project.
That's the thing with the ownership group, Terry, whether it's in the academy, whether it's with the Maple Leafs, the Raptors, what have you, they're willing to invest, splash the cash when it makes sense, when it's necessary, in order to take their teams to the top, or at least give them the best chance possible to go on and win it. I mean, it was massive investment. It was a bloody big deal before, when the likes of Defoe and Bradley, then Altidore and Javinko came to the club, and they've gone out and done it again. This is a significant investment. And I love what Bill Manning had to say. It's like, we're an ambitious club. This is a big project, over the next 4 years, building up to hosting a FIFA World Cup at BMO Field in our own backyard. We are a club that loves to set the standard. We're a wealthy ownership group. This is where Major League Soccer should be right now, investing in marquee talent. Look, I'm all about bringing through young Canadian players. We're going to talk about some in a few moments. But at the end of the day, in order to get the public, just the general public, en masse to go and support this team and to support this league, you still need top players. And that's exactly what Insigne is right now. So it ticks a box on the field, it ticks a box off the field, and it ticks a box in terms of the direction that the club is going as well. So there's nothing negative I can say about it. I'm pumped. I'm enthused.
We also have just an incredible soccer market in Toronto as well, and it's a pat on the back to Toronto that you can attract a player like Insigne. I like Two Wheels, how it goes against the grain of MLS. I think that the trend right now has been sign young players from South America, develop them in these top facilities, give them 100 games, and then sell them like Almiron to maybe the Premier League or Bundesliga. Well, TFC have said, you know what? We're gonna win a championship. We're gonna fill up the stadium. We're gonna develop young players that are from Canada, and we're gonna bring that package together. And it's just again almost like the Canadian men's national team. It's just a fantastic ride to be a part of.
Yeah. This will have a knock-on effect for Major League Soccer. All of their television deals run out at the end of the year. They're going to be trying to sell a big package. It's not just Toronto, Terry, whether it's New York or Chicago. Like, you're going to want to see players like this play. And this is something that the league needs to make sure that they keep our eye on. The league is obviously supportive of a move like this as well. And now it's just a matter of making sure that Bob Bradley now is the time between now and July for the team to rediscover their identity. So Insigne can come into the picture and the team can move forward without skipping a beat. Like learning on the fly is a difficult one. If he comes into a semi-established, atmosphere where roles are defined and there's a clear way of playing within the team, I think it'll make that transition over the short term that much more straightforward for a player like Insigne.
And there's a knock-on effect already. Look at Chicago today. They're going after Shaqiri, and that follows the move that we just made. It's nowhere near on the level of Insigne, but it's
it Costa going to Galaxy? It sounds like too, Douglas Costa.
Yeah, so I think you know what it does is this is our 15th year we're going into here. I think it kind of nails home the identity of TFC too, and as being a Real Madrid of MLS, as being one of the that we're going to bring in the best players around the world. This is who we are, and then we'll get the right pieces around the top three, and hopefully there's more opportunity. It takes time to develop these young players, but I'm very clear right now on what Toronto FC are and what you expect when you come to a TFC game, and such a high standard. And I think it's, again, I'm going to say it all year. It's so important that we have Bob Bradley to really bring it together. And kudos for Bill. He's swung hard, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Bob, utilized and had what might be the best front three in MLS history with that LAFC team with Vela and Rodriguez. Like out of the gate, like that front three for LAFC was so good. Now he has Insigne to be the crown jewel and figure out how that all works around Lorenzo. We'll speak about some of the players who have left in a few moments, but the other big signing on another DP contract, Carlos Salcedo, the Mexican international, lands with TFC, 48 caps. Clearly, the center back position was a need for this team. Played for Chivas Guadalajara, Fiorentina, Eintracht Frankfurt, Tigres, has won Liga MX, the Pokal, CONCACAF Champions League, has played in a Club World Cup, somewhere that TFC wants to go. Seems like an absolute class signing for Toronto FC. And a player that fits the profile of something that this team desperately needs.
Just watching him play, and I remember him playing against LAFC, where Bob probably saw him in the Champions League final a couple of years ago. Remember him in the Gold Cup playing for Mexico. There's a relationship with Bill Manning. He was in Salt Lake's academy, and he's gone on to win so many trophies, as you said. But watching him play, he will be the best defender in MLS, hands down. That's why he's a designated player. It's hard to get a DP tag as a center back, as a defender. He reminds me of Van Dijk, and that's a big comparison. He can cover ground quick. He's 6'3". He's a stud. He tackles hard. He has this incredible passing range. He's when you're watching clips, you're like, how did TFC get him? That was my thought. Like, what's the hitch here? He's got a great presence on social media, and I'm there's no hole in this guy's game. He's 28. He's a great age, and it's a position we've needed for a while, and I just think he'll be that leader on the back line. And from what I can understand in the game model that Bob Bradley wants to play, where it's a little bit quicker, I think it'll challenge him to grow as a player as well.
These are complex deals that will land a player like this. Like there was a lot of kind of a tabloid feel to a lot of these moves because you're in the market for players who are known on a wider scale. But particularly a move like this, Jefferson Soteldo goes the other way. a DP for a DP, another young international player going the other way. These things are extraordinarily complicated. And the front office deserves a lot of credit here in terms of the way that they made these deals work and being able to block out some of the outside noise, getting down to it and creating and establishing and working on deals that work into the club's advantage. Not easy stuff, Terry.
No. And it happened quick, didn't it? And
yeah.
I'm sure in a different environment, Salcedo will do excellent. It just didn't work at TFC, and sometimes it's difficult to cut the cord and say, you know what, that this one didn't land. Let's move on and let's make the most of the deal.
It's an important point to make because this player is a Venezuela international. Like, he starts for Venezuela. He's playing in Common Bowl and playing at a very good level. He joined at a difficult time. The club was in transition, COVID, Terry. But at the end of the day, this is the evaluation I feel is being made here. Are you in or are you out? Are you buying into the club? Do you want to be here? Are you going to work for the badge? If that answer is no, or if there's any hesitation amongst the decision makers at Toronto FC, you know that you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in, right? Like, this is the thing when you bring in a new coach, when you hit, rock bottom, like it felt like that last season at times, there's only one way to go, and you're in or you're out. And I feel like that's what we're facing right now. And that's going to provide a renewed energy and a renewed commitment amongst the players that are here and want to be here within the squad. Nothing that's fine if you just nodding.
Go with that.
Our first awkward moment of 2022. All right, got that out of the way. Terry Dunfield went from having cappuccino with Sebastian Giovinco in Yorkville to now Sebastian Giovinco being with the Toronto FC team through these early training sessions. Right now, he's just training with the team. We should make it clear that if Toronto FC and Sebastian Giovinco want to, come together and make a deal happen, he needs to go back through the MLS allocation process. And none of that is straightforward. So right now, Giovinco wasn't played in over 5 months, is now getting back to fitness and in a familiar kit and with some familiar faces.
We're not quite cappuccino buddies, but he did a couple months ago.
Espresso. That's it.
I was playing tennis with Afton in Summerhill, and he was coming out of this alleyway, and he almost took us out in his Porsche. He almost smoked us, and I was like, "Who's?" And then it was you just see him coming over the steering wheel. It was Giovinco. I was like, "What?" And then he kind of rolled down the window, like, "Hey, Terry." And I was like, wow, man, I need some of your face lotion. He still looks like he's 25. He looked $1 million.
We'll see what happens. That's as far as things are right now. Toronto FC and TorontoFC.ca and the social team will bring you up to speed whenever anything happens. As for now, he's training with the group. And at the very least, it's good to have him back around the club. I want to bring up another signing. And I think this is impactful for Canadian soccer. We're honestly going through quite a time for our men's and women's national teams. And the Canadian soccer structure continues to be built before our eyes. Toronto FC, Whitecaps, and Montreal, who came after, have played massive roles in providing players opportunities. And now there's another layer, the Canadian Premier League. Lucas McNaughton just won a championship with Pacific FC and the CPL. And now he signed a first team contract with Toronto FC. A late bloomer, Terry. He's in his mid-20s, a player that we've been calling his games for quite some time. He's a center back, a position of need. Word out of camp is that he's looked very good. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but that's what this new Canadian soccer structure is all about, to ensure that these players are getting tape, getting exposure, and then getting noticed by a bigger club like Toronto FC, and then giving them an opportunity to take their professional game to the next level. I just think that this is wonderful stuff.
Yeah, there's a clear pathway. And we didn't have this before. There wasn't a ton of opportunity for young Canadians. And it was a nice moment McNaughton played for Anthony Capitosto, our academy director.
U of T,
U of T. And he came into our academy office, and I was like, McNaughton. And he's like, I only know you by that because that's what I call you when we're calling the CPL games. Sorry, Lucas. And, welcome to TFC. And he walks into Caps's office, and you can hear those two hug, and it's a bit like it was so cool. It was such a nice moment. And he didn't just sign a contract. TFC paid nearly $200,000 for him. He's earned the opportunity to be here. And, he's going to push Mavinga for that number 2 spot. And I think you know exactly what you're going to get. He's ready. He's reliable. And Caden Chung's here and on trial. So it's, I just think the pathway and the story is beautiful. You're seeing Pamadou Ka, who did really well with Pacific. He's now in FC Dallas's organization. So it just suggests that if you do well, there's the next step on the ladder is going to come for you, or it'll be there, and you don't have to try to navigate a way through to get onto the ladder. So
very cool. We wish him the best of luck. Now Terry Dunfield's only the second best looking person at TFC. McGonn's also models as a side gig. I wish I could say that about me. I'm a model part-time. So maybe if anyone knows anyone can hook me up. Just make sure your standards are very low. One other player I want to bring up, you scored a brace in TFC's opening preseason match, I believe, against LA Galaxy. DeAndre Kerr, a player that you're familiar with based on his time in the academy, has come back to the club. He went from academy to Syracuse. Like, I don't know what's in the water in upstate New York, but like Kamal Miller for CF Montreal, Alex Bono, like Syracuse is a factory. Like even players in the CPL, Sergio Camargo, like all kinds of good talent have come out of Syracuse, and DeAndre Kerr stepped back in and signed a first-team contract with TFC. Even when he was in the academy, Terry, I heard all kinds of good things about DeAndre's potential, and now he's going to be able to hopefully realize that within the TFC team. What do you see in the player? What can TFC fans expect from this player?
He's a stud, 6'2". He was a powerful box-to-box midfielder that had a final product. He had assists in his game. He had goals in his game. He's been playing on the front line, from what I can understand, in preseason. And it just, we just discussed it about pathway, is each player is just a little bit different. And it's cool at TFC that the pathway could be university, go get a degree, and then come into the league. You're still a homegrown. He's still a TFC player. Or if he's crushing it at Syracuse, maybe he comes into an environment a little bit quicker after he develops there as a person and as a player. And his pathways maybe a little bit less blocked here, or a new coach comes in and sees something different, or it could be a loan spell over to Denmark. We saw Noble Kello do that. Or it could be TFC 2 to our first team. And DeAndre Kerr is left TFC for a couple of years, and he's played for Canada. He's a player that we love here, and everyone in the academy is rooting for, and the fans, they're going to love him. And I think he's a good fit for the way Bob Bradley plays. He's very vertical. He's very positive in possession.
This TFC team will have a distinct Canadian feel, very young, a lot of talent. And this is what I think a lot of fans have been waiting for, a lot of these young Canadian players to get an opportunity. There's Kerr. I've heard great things about Jaden Nelson this preseason as well. He's a, word out of California that he's done very good. Of course, Ralph Priso still returning from that season-ending injury. It'll take him a little bit of time. Same thing, new contract for Ayo Akinola. Same thing. A new chance for Noble Kello in the midfield. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy's gone and trained with some European sides during the summer. He's going to come back in. He has a role to play. Jacob Schaffelberg, obviously, in the team. Like, there's going to be this core group of Canadian players that are going to have a real shot this season, Terry.
So many names you're saying. It's
I'm probably missing some, too, off the top of my head.
It's so cool, and it's just the demographic in Toronto is incredible. The player, but it's so deep in Ontario, I should say. And shout out to Caps and all the academy coaches and the work they're doing and the hard work these young players have put in. And they've got a great team behind them as well. You've got Jason Hernandez in the front office helping, Justin Morrow now, Mike Sorber. He's going to be a link between the first team and the academy. So, it's there's going to be opportunity. And one thing that's cool about all these young players is there's no it's what about me attitude, or they're fighting one another for the next opportunity. They're a gang. They're just so happy when one guy comes through, and then maybe the next guy will come through. It's special.
Luca Petrasso amongst that group as well. He's going to get a shot with the first team as well. Before we get to the exits, still the construction of the squad is still in a work in progress. There are a lot of moving parts right now. We can expect other players to go, other players to come in. Are there certain areas that you still think, and you're looking at the squad right now, where you're thinking that TFC may be a little bit light and may have to add, Terry? Like for me, absolutely the fullback positions, I think they might need to be addressed. We'll see about center back and how that plays out in the preseason. Perhaps another number 9 with Akinola working his way back from surgery. TFC have been linked to other attacking players in the market. Where are you looking right now and saying, you know what, maybe a player or two could be added into the team to bring up the quality in the group, or maybe fill out some potential holes?
I think you need time. I think you need preseason games. I think it's it's not going to be perfect up until the summer, and I think you've got to give opportunity to players and to see exactly where you're at. The number 9 spot for me is a big one, and it's a pivotal role for Bob Bradley. I think he likes a 9 that from just watching LAFC play, that covers a ton of ground, regains the ball high up the pitch, can run in behind, that can come off the front when the wingers come in, that finishes from cutbacks, that will get in and around the box. And I'd say that's a big position for sure.
The last thing on the team right now, I'm intrigued to see where Alejandro Pozuelo plays. Like, he hasn't shied away from it. Last season was a down year for Paz. This guy was an MLS MVP the season prior. He has quality. In a Bob Bradley system, I'm thinking he has to play more of an 8 than now 10, or having a free role in attack. All eyes are on him because he's certainly capable of doing it. I know in his Swansea days and his European days, he played more of a central midfield role. Getting him in the right spot with the right players around him, whether it's Osorio, congratulations on his 50th Canada cap, then picked up 51 in winning fashion as well. Michael Bradley, Akello Priso, like you have options around him. It's just making sure that the right structure's in place to get the best out of Paz.
MLS MVP. And with a little bit of time and space facing forward, he can hurt teams. And I'd imagine he'll be playing with a bit of a point to prove. I'd imagine he'll be fighting for a new contract. I'd imagine he'll want to be part of this project. I know he loves Toronto. He knows Insigne is coming in. So I think the ingredients are there, and I think it's up to Pozuelo. I think Bob Bradley doesn't come in and go, okay, this is the playbook. This is our system. We're going to play this way. If you don't fit this way, I'm not going to adapt. I think, if you've got kind of, Bob used this one, it's a great analogy. You've got Barcelona, Man City here. You've got over here, Dortmund, New York Red Bulls, Leipzig. Bob Bradley can kind of do this depending on the skill sets he has in front of him. So I think that there will be opportunity for Pozuelo, and I think just like everybody else, he's gonna have to come in and say, you know what, I'm gonna be the player I was when I won MLS Cup, or I was an MLS MVP.
Yeah, and Bob's certainly not rigid, and I think that it's going to have the opportunity to see players in different positions over the course of preseason. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy played some fullback last season. He's played a little bit here over the preseason. Same thing with Jacob Schalpenberg. He's been playing a little bit of left back. So, um, look, there might be some new roles for players, things that might be unfamiliar to the fans out there, but things that will be tested and tried before the club really understands where they need to add. And I think that's a good thing, Terry. Like, you know, when we talk about the Canadian men's national team, look at the versatility of players in the team. Like Tajon Buchanan with the New England Revolution before he moved on to Bruges, and he played forward, he played at right back, he's played at left back, he's played at left wing. And it's the same thing with Lorea. Like, there's something to be said about being versatile and being available and being able to be counted on in a number of different positions. And it sounds like there may be an opportunity for some young Canadian players to go out and play in a very similar fashion.
It's a great system, Wheels. And I wouldn't overthink the positions. I think Bob just wants good footballers. And the visual I get in my head, and I might be wrong, is you've just got a real connected group. Then because the group's connected, you're able to play a little bit quicker, and you're almost playing checkers up the field. And if it doesn't quite come off, because you're so connected, you're able to go and get that ball back real quick rather than maybe reorganizing underneath the ball. And man, I wish I was still playing. I probably wouldn't get a game, but it's a fun way to play.
Goal scorers in the 5-4 loss to the Galaxy: Nelson, Kerr, and Peruzza. And Achara and Peruzza again scored in both games in the 2-1 win over LAFC. The club, or the team, will be going down to Austin, Texas to continue their preseason next week. I get the impression some of the TFC2 players will remain back with TFC2, so the team will shrink down a little bit. But like I said, plenty of moving parts right now. So keep a look at TorontoFC.ca and the social platforms, and they will keep you up to speed as moves are made. Some really character individuals have left the club, and we should acknowledge them. I really like my time with Omar Gonzalez. He moves on. Really nice guy. Eric Zavaleta won an MLS Cup here. So did Tsubasa Endo, MLS Cup champion. There's a couple I want to focus in on. Great news with Justin Morrow staying in Toronto, staying with the organization. Just such a positive influence, both on and off the field. And now he gets to continue to write his story within Toronto FC in a different way. Richie Lorea came to Toronto FC 3 years ago as a trialist. He didn't sign his first team contract till March 21st, and goes on, becomes a national team regular, and goes out to live a professional ambition of his, playing overseas, playing abroad in the league championship. That's awesome for him. Liam Fraser, another Canadian, he's going to get a chance to carry on his career in Belgium. And we should give a shout out to Marky Delgado. Fourth all time in Toronto FC appearances, Terry. A good spot for him, back with his former head coach in Greg Vanney in the place he grew up in, Los Angeles. Delgado played such a crucial role in these glory years for Toronto FC, and deserves a lot of commitment for his commitment to this club and what he was able to achieve on the field.
For sure. He leaves an MLS Cup champion. Probably be fair to say he came to Toronto as a boy. He leaves as a man. He leaves as a very good footballer, one of the best number 8s in the league. And he was a big part of TFC's identity. And, you know, I just think he as soon as Greg left, that was Marky. And, you know, I think that moves best for Marky. It's good for the Galaxy. He's a tough player to lose. He'll go down as one of the best midfielders to ever play for TFC. But sometimes when there's a change, it's not for everyone. And you know, I think, yeah, again, it's quick business. Marky's on his way, and I'm sure he'll do really well with the Galaxy. And, you know, one thing that happens at TFC that the Bill does do a good job is rewarding players if they do well. And from what I can understand, the club didn't want to lose Richie. They matched and bettered the offer from Nottingham Forest. And Richie wanted to go to Europe. He wanted to have that experience, and it's difficult to stand in a player's way. So fair play to the club and Richie for making that happen. And I'm sure he'll take that opportunity. Nuts. Nottingham Forest are in the playoffs since he's gone there. So he's got an exciting end to the year. And you could go through everyone. It'll be great to see Liam hopefully get a run at games and he can see how good he is. I still don't know. And he's almost close to 25 now. And, he's been an important, when I think of Liam Fraser, I just think of his games for Canada. Unfortunately, I can't think of any big games for TFC, but he's such a good. What about that pass to Jonathan David?
Yeah, ridiculous. Fraser, a couple really good games in the Canadian Championship, but limited opportunity. Right. And Eric Zavaleta, another player, like big role played in an MLS Cup winning team. And now you get to walk the halls with Justin Morrow, him and Jason Hernandez, like two top individuals. Their hiring practices at TFC, top notch. How did you slip through the cracks, Terry?
Do you want to know something? And it's probably a nice.
I kid because I love. That's it.
I mean, we have to give a shout out to the club legend Danny Dicchio, but I think he trailblazed for former players, and that we can do a job, and there's life after soccer, and it's tough to lose Danny, a good friend of mine, and he's on to the next step in his coaching adventure, and fair play to him. That's a brave decision to leave and move the family to Sacramento, and he'll be a top assistant there, and I'm sure there'll be more after Sacramento. But I think Danny trailblazed for all of us, and then it's just. Yeah, I'm just so lucky to be part of the organization.
I'm glad you gave a shout out to Deitch too, because another absolute club legend in Danny Dicchio.
I'm excited too to connect with Paul Stalteri. He's back now. It's so cool.
Yeah. So look, it's going to be a new look TFC off the field, changes behind the scenes as well, but the project continues to move forward. We'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to the Canadian men's national team. Look, they're on the verge of punching their ticket to Qatar. That 36-year long wait is just about over. I've done a call to action. I want all Canadian fans out on the street if they qualify in the 24, 27, whenever that is in March. Get out there, make it look like Italy won the Euros and College Street closes down, or when Portugal wins, Dundas Street. Like, we need this for the Canadian men's national team, Terry. This is just awesome time.
Will there be snow on the ground at that time of year? It'll be a little bit warmer.
It's been freezing cold the last 3 months. I have no idea. Expect the unexpected. We can handle it, right? It'll be warmer than St. Paul, Minnesota. Let's put it that way. So no hypothermia. It's been awesome to call those games, Terry. And look, I think that there's something finally just to note, right here at the end, there's momentum building around this sport. Like you felt it in the city when Toronto FC landed, and that pulse is still there. The country's maybe been a little bit slow to jump on board, but with the women and now with the men, there's awareness, there's hype, there's attention, there's all kinds of good stuff that comes along with it. And I hope there's a real knock-on effect here.
There's a togetherness, isn't there? And it's special. And this team has inspired the country and really brought us all together. Over 12 million people tuned in at some point in that US game. That's incredible. At the start of this round of qualifying, I think that first game against Honduras, or number was like 160,000 or something. It's incredible. And so many big moments too. It probably wasn't the sexiest qualifying window, these games with beautiful football, but you just think about those Jonathan David goals and Sam Adekubi running through, or the crazy goal from Atiba, or Borjan springing across the goal, and all your goal calls. There were so many, and it's just been it's such a good ride, and we're in for a big 2022.
Great news for Toronto FC as well. Jonathan Osorio looks fit as can be
Oh,
out there
he's an
too.
animal.
Yeah, beast mode. So plenty to look forward to on that front as well. Well, we got in as much as we could here in a limited period of time on this first podcast of 2022. We'll have Bill Manning upcoming on a future podcast, more touchline talks coming your way, and most importantly, more of Terry Dunfield. So good stuff today, buddy. My head's still spinning. We'll settle it down. We'll re-engage in the next couple of weeks.
Let's do it.
Shout out to our producer, Erica, keeping us on track. She's really the one that keeps us connected and you connected as well. So thanks to Erica. Thanks to Terry. On behalf of everyone at TFC, I am Gareth Wheeler, and this has been 2022's first Come On You Reds.